Thanks for joining Leadership Rediscovered, a podcast devoted to all things leadership. I'm Laura Siebold, founder and president of Shine Consulting, and each episode I interview different leaders from different walks of life to talk about their unique definition. And today I am fangirling. I don't know if that's a word you're supposed to use towards men or not, but is that, I don't know. I'm going to use it.
If it has anything to do with a social media name, I don't know what that means anyhow, so call yourself whatever you want.
Fangirling, or I could just say I'm really talk about that,
that's
to talk
old school.
to Coach Randy Mazey today. So thanks for being here.
This is awesome.
I'm excited.
It's weird how over the course of my career I've gravitated toward enjoying this more than
your
practice.
Day-to-day job.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good sign for things to come, right?
Absolutely.
I love it. Okay, so you have a really impressive background. You're very well known in the baseball community in West Virginia and beyond, but we actually have a lot of listeners that are outside of even the United States. So I thought, instead of me reading your bio and talking about all the great things.
I only know one language. Does that matter?
It could be a problem.
Could be a problem. All right.
We'll see. But instead of me reading your bio, I thought, could I just have you introduce yourself? Like if someone didn't know who you were, how would you introduce yourself?
You better be careful what you ask for here, because I can go back to the beginning.
We got
beginning.
time. You said practice isn't until 12:30. We got time.
The actual beginning is I was born in my upstairs bedroom.
Were you really?
Mama didn't even make it to the hospital. So that has a lot to do with all the problems I have now, probably.
Very eager to get started, right?
No kidding. I couldn't wait to get away from my mother. That's what I told her. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, just humble upbringing. Just grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania and didn't come from much. Grew up in a trailer and just kind of hand and fist for every meal we could get kind of people. And just for one reason or another, the stars lined up and I was able to be surrounded by some great people as I was coming up. Cool. And if you just learn a little bit from everyone that you're around, all of a sudden, then you end up being a pretty wise old dude, I guess. Yeah. So credit goes to all the people that have been in my life to make me the person that I am.
That you've met along the way.
Absolutely.
Very cool. All right. Tell us about who you are today.
I really feel like I'm, like I said, a product of all those people.
Yeah.
But, I went to college really far from home, and for a small town kid, that's not easy to do.
That's a big step, isn't it?
Grew up in Pennsylvania, went to Clemson.
Okay.
Played baseball there and dabbled into professional baseball for a little bit, and then got right into coaching because the guy that I played for at Clemson was an older guy that had been around for 40 years and kind of gravitated toward him. In our profession, your profession, my profession, everybody needs a mentor.
Yes.
And he was mine. Aww. And he was super old school, and I really saw the effect that he had on people. He was really hard on people. Back in the day, he was really hard on me. And at the time, I hated him for it, just like everybody does.
Right.
But as soon as
you look back on it.
It's like everybody. 10 years later, it's like, can you believe what that guy did for me? So I felt like he had an impact on so many people, and what a great way to have an impact is to be a coach. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
So it was never about teaching kids how to steal second base or catch ground balls. To me, it was always about teaching kids how to be good people, good husbands, good fathers, good leaders. And when I go and it says on my tombstone, "Here lies Randy Mazey," and I don't want them to list my career record.
Yeah.
In the big scheme of things, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah.
I say that, but a lot of people in West Virginia care about the success of the baseball program, too.
Well, it's good that you do have a good record, I will say that. Yeah. You have accomplished a lot of good things.
Yeah, but I always just wanted it to say, hey, here lies a good guy that just tried to help people and teach people and make an impact on lives. So hopefully I've done that. You're going to have to ask some other people, but hopefully I've done that.
Yeah. That's great. All right, podcast over. That was all
I
the
know,
things
right?
I
Here
wanted
we
to
go.
find out about you.
Let's wrap it up.
I answered in one question. No. But I mean, you have had a lot of accomplishments, and I was fortunate. You know, this is a leadership podcast, and I was fortunate to get to listen to you do a keynote at a Leadership Institute program that David Goldberg had, and it was the first time I heard you speak in that type of a forum. And what was really cool is that you were talking so much about your philosophy on leadership, and not necessarily just, I've heard people say that when you are a professional coach, you get to a certain point where it's not about just tweaking the technical things, right? There's other components to that. So I would love to hear a lot about what you shared during that speech, that keynote that you had. Also was really mad at you, by the way, because you did such a good keynote, and then I had to go on after you, and it was like, womp womp. And everybody gets to listen to me do my thing.
you were awesome. It was amazing that when I go to that stuff, I go to learn as well. To listen to the people that were on that panel and to listen to you. I left there as a better leader than I was when I showed up. So I really enjoy going to stuff like that. But over time, I have when you speak to these groups, you kind of look around the room and see how engaged people are, and who's listening and who's yawning and who's doing this and who gets up and walks out. And it seemed like over the course of time, if you come up with something that people can leave there with, then they pay more attention. So it sounds cliche, but I came up with an acronym for leader.
Love it.
And when I started doing that, I started noticing that people are writing this down.
And then it's good. If someone writes it down, it's like, this is worth remembering, right?
Yeah, because I never wanted to speak anywhere. I don't even want to be on this podcast if people don't change something that they're currently doing.
Yes.
I don't want them to listen. I want them to listen and do something about it.
Yes.
So when people write something down, I think they're in the right mindset to go do something about it and become a better leader. So I've always said that a leader is someone who I've always called them an influencer. To me, those terms were interchangeable until this whole social media thing came along.
I know, and now you can't use that term
now
in the same way.
Influencers are people who wear tennis shoes and convince other people to wear tennis shoes. I guess in their world that is leadership.
That is influence. But this is a different kind of influence.
Different kind of influencer. But as a leader, if you can influence the behavior of people in a positive manner, you become a leader.
Yes.
So,
if they're doing something that they wouldn't maybe normally do without that impact that you make, without that influence, then you have kind of made a difference in their life.
So it's you have to do. You can't just listen. It's actually 7 times more powerful to write something down that you want to do as opposed to thinking about what you want to do.
Yes.
So when I see people writing, I'm like, we got them. We got them. We have a rising leader in the group. So I came up with this acronym called LEADER, Leader, and I go through every letter and tell them the qualities of a good leader. And I started doing that, and it applies to everybody. So
yes, because it's not a title. It's not just you have to be a head coach to be a leader.
Yeah, because leadership, people don't realize. I talk to my players all the time. It's not actually a decision. You're going to be a leader at some point in your life, whether you're on a team, whether you're in the workforce, whether you own your own business. But if you ever become a parent, leadership is thrust upon you by default. So let's learn how to be a good one. Yeah, you're going to be a leader. Let's learn how to be a good one.
Absolutely.
So that's how it all started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to. If you're driving a car and listening to this podcast, like pull over for a minute because I'm going to ask you to go through the acronym.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Write it down, or if you're just watching, then push pause. But would you share the acronym?
Absolutely. Okay. The L in leader stands for learn.
Learn.
As a leader, you have to not only learn about the people you are leading, but you have to learn how those people learn.
Yeah.
Because there's tons of different learners in this world. People can learn by listening. People can learn by watching. People can learn by writing.
Doing.
There's a ton of different ways to learn, and not everybody's the same. So one of the examples I always use, I don't think I did it the day I was there, I pull 2 people out of the crowd, and then I'm going to teach them how to juggle 3 baseballs. And
I wish I could have seen this.
and then I pull 2 people out of the crowd that know how to juggle, that are going to teach the people that don't know how to juggle how to juggle.
Oh, this is amazing.
And one person does it by telling them how to juggle, and the other person isn't allowed to speak. He's just allowed to juggle, and the person learning can only watch. You'd be amazed at how different people learn different things at different paces.
Yeah, how does this all play out? I'm so curious, and I need to learn more about this.
Sometimes better than others. It works great for my speeches if they both learn how to juggle, one faster than the other. But and I learned a valuable lesson when I was a young coach. I had a kid that I just couldn't get through to, and finally I got mad at him one day, and I said, "You know what? I have to tell you the same thing 3 times before you ever start comprehending." And I was so frustrated with him all the time. And then he went and got tested for a learning disability. And I actually got the paper from the doctor, and on the paper it said, "You have to tell him something 3 times before he can comprehend."
Oh my gosh.
And then I was like, okay. Now it's my fault.
Now it makes sense,
Now
right?
it's my
He's not
fault.
just being like ignorant. He's literally just
He had a learning disability. And here I am getting mad at a kid, and it wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
So that was a great learning lesson for me as a young coach.
Yeah, learning how they learn.
Learning how they learn.
Maybe
And
it
learning,
does take 3 times.
Learning about the people underneath you is so powerful
Yeah.
that I could tell you every player on our team. We have 40 players on our team.
Wow.
I could tell you what their favorite meal is. I could tell you what their dream job is when baseball's over. I could tell you their favorite type of music. I could tell you their favorite movie, their favorite TV show, what's on their bucket list. And it's really cool because I get to know a lot about them.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because they know that I'm invested in them as people.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody's listening that was at our baseball banquet this past Saturday. We had 800 people at our baseball banquet.
That's amazing.
And in front of everybody, I introduced every player one at a time and told those 800 people a little bit about each player.
Wow.
And I think
Not just what position they play.
Yeah, I didn't even mention their position,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I just said, here's so-and-so. His favorite food is chicken and waffles.
Aw.
And here's his favorite movie, and here's what he likes to do in his off time. And
That's
it's
so
just cool from a leader standpoint. It gives you the satisfaction of knowing. And from their standpoint, it's like, maybe this cat really does care about me a little bit.
Right. But I'm so glad that you talked about it. If we can just pause there for a second, because as you know, I work a lot with leaders, and I will often talk about you need to care about your team. And it doesn't mean you have to be their best friend, but you do need to care about their, success, their well-being. And sometimes that message, I think, especially in more of a corporate type context, it's like, no, I'm here to get results. And that's my primary objective. I don't have time to do all these things to, care about my team. I need them to get their job done so that we can get results. So I would love to hear your perspective on that.
I think things really have changed. I'm an old school guy, but I'm an old school guy that isn't afraid to learn new tricks.
Yeah.
And the new trick that I've learned is back in the old school days, it was, they don't have to like me. They just have to respect me. You heard that 1,000 times growing up. But that's not today's world.
No.
They have to like you.
Yeah.
If they don't like you, they're not going to do anything for you.
Yes.
So it's important to me that the players on the team like me.
Yeah.
And it's important to me that the players on the team like all of the coaches. They like their strength coach. They like the trainer.
Yeah.
Because in today's world, you know how kids are. If
Oh,
they don't
yeah.
like you, peace out.
Yep.
Transfer portal, here I come.
Exactly. No, that's huge, though. I mean, I didn't even make that connection, but yeah, it's the same way in companies too. It's like they can leave if they don't like you. They don't like working here.
Yeah.
They're out the door,
And
right?
in today's world, that's what they do.
Yeah.
They just leave. They don't stick around and fight it out.
Right.
Like we used to when we were growing up.
Exactly.
So, it's important to me that the players like the people who are leading them.
Yeah. And know that you like them. I mean, by learning all those things about them, you're telling them, I care to know. And, I might not be your best friend. I'm not your dad, but I like you well enough and I care enough about you to learn these things about you.
And there are some obstacles to that. Like I write the lineup every day when we play a game. So I have 9 guys every day that really like me.
Right.
And the other 31.
The majority do not.
They'd rather push me off the bridge in Star City at that moment.
How do you handle those conversations? Or is it a conversation, I guess I should ask?
It usually isn't.
Okay.
They just get mad at me and go about their merry way. But you kind of, part of leadership, when we get further into the acronym.
Sorry.
We'll get to that part of it. But actually.
I'm ruining the acronym.
Good thing I know how to spell. So the E in leadership is energy, enthusiasm, and effort.
Ooh. That's a triple threat there.
That's what when I go speak to groups, and I would like to do a lot of that when I retire, go speak to groups. I don't like for people to leave without committing to putting forth some sort of effort into something. And every Tuesday in our team theater before practice, we actually have I call it a celebration of effort.
Oh, wow.
And every guy's name is on the grease board, and a guy will raise his hand and tell me and his teammates something he did in the past week that he's never done before, he's not used to doing, but he put effort into something that made him a better player or a better person.
Wow.
And every time they say something, I put a check mark beside their name.
Cool.
So over the course of time, some guys have a ton of check marks and some guys don't. So in front of your teammates, if you can put forth some sort of effort into being better at something, if 40 individual guys do that every week, imagine how much better the whole team gets.
Yeah. I mean, they're all committed to doing that, and they're thinking, but there's an accountability component built into that too, that they know, everybody, who doesn't love a check mark?
I know, right?
I want check marks.
Seriously. Doesn't Twitter have a check mark thing now that you have to?
Ooh, I have to look at that.
I'm not a Twitter guy.
No, I'm not.
They even changed their name.
They did. I think it's like X now.
But can't you pay a certain amount of money to get a blue check mark or something?
I thought that meant you're like legit if you have a check mark.
Well,
Probably. I'll look into that. So if a check mark's on the table, then I can get in.
Yeah, for sure.
I can get in for this.
So when we go through our celebration of effort, it's amazing how some guys will say, Coach, I wasn't sleeping great, so I went to Walmart and got some blackout curtains. Now I'm sleeping better. Okay.
Yeah, it's
you
not
put
just
some
something they
effort
did on the
into
field.
As it turns out, it's rarely something they do on the field.
I love it.
It's always something they do personally to make themselves a better player. Hey, Coach, I made my bed the other day.
Wow.
I've never done that before.
Wow.
So it's amazing how when one guy says something, then the next week somebody says, hey, Coach, so-and-so made his bed last week, so I did it this week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, what did that make him? That made him a leader.
Made him a leader.
Yeah,
That's
because
so cool.
he is influencing what you do by what he did.
Yeah, inspired action in this other guy.
That's what leadership is. It's being an influencer.
That's so
in
cool.
a positive manner. So
Yeah.
I actually think all the success we've had in the baseball program in the last 10 years, we came from very little.
Yeah.
And
talk about that a little if you would. I mean, because this is what, your 12th year?
Yeah, something like that.
Something.
12,
I thought
11,
it was 14,
12, 13.
somewhere around there. 12-ish year. Just at WVU.
Yeah, just at WVU. So when I got here, no secret, the program wasn't great. And now it's pretty good.
It's really good.
We've been, I think, ranked in the top 25 in each of the last 8 seasons. So not just a flash in the pan good.
No, not a one-hit wonder.
Like a Billy Ray Cyrus achy breaky heart kind of thing.
Which was a good hit.
Sorry to all you Billy Ray fans out there. But people want to know how we did that.
Absolutely.
And it literally had nothing to do with hitting, catching, and throwing the baseball. It had to do with teamwork and leadership and guys learning how to love each other.
Yeah.
That was the secret sauce. Because I used to listen to all these coaches, football and basketball and NFL, and after they would win a championship, they'd all say the same thing. We won because we had great leadership and these guys loved each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me 100 times.
Yeah. I'm a learner.
I'm a learner. So if that's the secret sauce, let's try it.
Yeah.
So we did. And now in our Tuesdays, we play a game called Know Your Teammate.
Oh, cool.
So at the beginning of the year, every guy on the team fills out a questionnaire about himself. How many brothers and sisters, how many pets, what are their names, dogs, cats, rabbits, goldfish, whatever. Who's the most influential person in your life? Where would you like to live ultimately? Where's the coolest place you've ever been? What's your favorite food, music, hobbies, bucket list, the coolest thing about yourself? And it's a 3-page questionnaire, and I get to know them all.
Yeah.
I'm the first guy that gets to know everybody.
Wow.
But in this game, I'll stand up, and it's kind of like a game show. I'll say, okay, today's teammate, his favorite food is chicken noodle soup. Mm-hmm. And everybody has a pen and paper. And if they know who I'm talking about on the first clue, you get 5 points.
I was going to say you get a check mark.
If you know on the second clue, you get 4, and third clue,
wow.
you get 4. So
that's fun.
We do 4 guys every Tuesday, and we keep a running total of your score. You turn them back in. We do it again the next Tuesday.
Are some guys better? Like, are they just...
Oh, we have a winner.
Yeah.
We have a winner at the end.
Yeah, but like, do you have patterns of like, hey, this guy frequently wins, the same one frequently wins?
We don't have a winner every Tuesday. We have a overall winner.
Gotcha.
At the end of the semester.
Okay.
Who is the guy in here that knows his teammates
Pays
better
the
than
most
anybody
attention.
else?
Yeah.
And it's just really cool that you have guys on your team and you know they have twin sisters, or you know that what their father does for a living, or you know where they'd love to live after baseball. It's just how you develop relationships.
It is.
So when all this college baseball stuff is over, now you have buddies and have relationships, and your family can get to know their family, and kids get to know kids. And I think that has turned us into a top 25 program way more than we are teaching kids how to hit better than someone else.
Right, exactly,
So,
for sure. And I mean, you tell me, does it take more effort to do that or same effort if you would have just focused on technical skills alone? What's your take?
It takes more effort.
Yeah.
Because nobody does it.
Yeah.
So if we didn't teach that, they wouldn't do it. You know, you'd have your roommate that you know a little bit about, but not the other 38
maybe a small
guys.
little cliquey circle that's your, but I mean, I think about too what they're learning for the rest of their life.
No doubt.
As future leaders, right?
We had a kid that, and I'm a big make your bed guy, and I may have even talked about this when I was down there, but I've been saying it for 30 years to kids to make your bed in the morning because number one, it's really easy to do. It's not that difficult. It takes no time. You can do it in a minute and a half.
Yeah.
And it's good for you. So if you don't make your bed, the only possible argument you have why you didn't is because you didn't want to.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You just didn't want to. So if you can just get up and make your bed in the morning, then you're learning a skill, discipline, that will stick with you the rest of your life.
And you've already accomplished something for the day.
You walk out the door.
If you have a really bad day, you at least got that done.
You're up 1-0 before the day ever starts, you know? So for 30 years, I've been convincing kids to make their bed. And along came this guy that wrote the book on Make Your Bed.
Yep.
And I'm like, that guy stole my idea.
I know. When you said for 30 years, I'm like, he's not been saying it for 30 years. So, yeah, he definitely took it from
It's funny. I was speaking to a group of attorneys last month, and when I told them, I was like, that guy stole my idea. And about 8 of them raised their hand and said, I can help you with that. It's called infringement. I got you.
That's awesome.
I'm like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We're both spreading a good message. But now I have a kid that has never made his bed in his life, who is now doing it. And I feel really good that he will teach his children to make their beds, and they'll teach their children. So now he's developing really good habits to pass on to other people.
Yeah.
And good habits are like compound interest.
Yes.
You know, once you learn how to make your bed every morning, check that box and move on to the next good habit.
Yeah, and it just builds, right?
Just builds and builds. Next thing you know, you're a good person and didn't even realize it. Because your decisions every day become your habits.
Yeah.
Your habits dictate your behavior, and your behavior turns into your character.
Right.
So your character as a person goes the whole way back to the beginning. It's the decisions you make every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, and I think I've I almost said written. I have not written books on habits. I've read a lot of books on habits, and I think it's the Atomic Habits where they talk about like thinking about the identity versus like I have to make my bed every day and like, but saying like I'm a person who makes my bed. Like that's part of my character. That's who I am. This is what I do. And like that's a totally different spin on just like chore.
Yeah, I can teach a guy how to make his bed. That's easy.
Yes.
But to teach a guy why to make your bed, that's when you
and
get
how you should want to make your bed.
Yeah. Why do I want to do this? Okay, because it's good for me and it's developing a good habit. Okay, once you understand why you're doing stuff, then it's way easier to do.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Atomic Habits. I didn't make all this stuff up. I learned all this from other people. I learned a lot from that book.
Yeah, it's a good book.
It's a good book.
Yeah.
And it teaches you how important good habits are and why you should make them easy and make the bad habits more difficult on yourself.
Right.
So if you think you watch too much TV, when you're done watching at the end of the day, go unplug it and put the remote in the drawer. The next time you plop on the couch to watch TV and think, oh my goodness, the remote's the whole way over there and now I got to go plug it in, not worth the effort. So I won't do it. So all of a sudden you're eliminating what you consider to be a bad habit.
Yeah.
So
if you're trying to get rid of junk food, don't buy junk food and put it in your house in the first place. Like don't make it harder for yourself, right?
Yeah. If there's something in the fridge that you should stop drinking, put it in the back of the fridge. Don't put it in the front.
Exactly.
Make yourself move the milk out of the way to get
then
what
it's just that's too much effort.
Exactly. It really is. But yeah, I didn't invent these concepts. I just think they're really good concepts that kids can learn from. So I have the forum in order to convince kids that this is good stuff, you know?
Yeah.
We're already on E.
We're on E. I know. Say the three E's though, again, if you would.
Energy, enthusiasm, and effort.
Love it. Okay. All right. Now.
If you try and lead somebody with low energy,
it
makes it way, way harder.
That is so true.
Yeah. So if you're energetic about what you're trying to teach people, if you have a celebration of effort and everybody high fives when a kid makes their bed and cheers for them, they get excited about that.
Yeah. Wait, can I interrupt you again? I'm so sorry. I'm really slowing this acronym down, but you're saying so many things that I'm like, oh, this is a good lesson for people. Because the other thing I hear, you're right. I work with a lot of like people that grew up in the old school mentality, right? And they're like, I cannot get behind everybody gets a trophy and we got to praise people just for coming to work. So will you it's making me think of that. And I would love to hear your perspective on, to me, this is not just an everyone gets a trophy or I'm just praising people for doing what they should do. But would you kind of share your perspective on that?
Yeah, people have changed.
Yes.
You want to reward people that have earned something.
Yes.
I'm a big believer in earning something.
Yes.
That's the one thing I hate about the transfer portal.
Yeah.
When something doesn't go someone's way now, they just quit and go somewhere else instead of staying and grinding and earning. If you're the backup catcher on my team, don't quit and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Beat the other guy out.
Yeah.
There's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
So
work harder.
Yeah. So, and we're bringing kids up and we're teaching them how to run away from that.
Yes.
That's what, like, youth baseball with the trophies for everybody.
Yeah.
travel ball. If somebody joins a travel ball team and they don't like something about it, they'll quit and join another one. They don't like the coach. If
not getting enough playing time. It's usually not the kid, it's the parents that don't like.
But we're teaching kids how to keep quitting until you find what you want. But guess what? When you become an adult and you're providing for your family, collecting a paycheck, and you don't like your boss, guess what? Tough, you know what? So you don't get to run away from problems as an adult. Why are we teaching them to do that?
Agree.
As young kids. We're just not, it's not realistic for adulthood.
Yeah, I agree. You're right. It's not preparing people for the real world because you can't just do that every time. You're going to have like 50 jobs in a year because who voluntarily loves their boss all the time?
No kidding. No kidding. And I was really excited because my son, I sent him away 2 summers ago to play baseball in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
Because he always grew up being coached by my buddies and locally, and he loves them all.
But
I wanted him to get a different experience. And he wasn't a big fan of his coach when he got there. And I'm like, this is perfect. He needs to learn how to play for this guy. And when after a game, if he tried to complain about the coach, I'd say, yeah, I agree with you. What are you going to do about it? He's not going to change. You better figure it out.
Right.
You better figure out how to play for this guy. And because
he's the coach, not you.
He's the coach. He's not going to change for 30 different kids. 30 different kids are going to have to change to adjust to him. So if you, like you said, you're an adult and you have a boss you don't like, you can't keep quitting.
Exactly.
What are we even talking about?
Exactly.
You just can't keep quitting. So.
Yeah. But on the flip side of that, I hear a lot, what gets rewarded gets repeated. And so to me, I feel like when you're emphasizing in a positive way, like that effort, then to me, that's encouraging them to repeat that behavior, which I do think is good. Yeah,
no doubt. The kid that in our celebration of effort that said he made his bed for the first time, that was 3 weeks ago. Now he's making it every day.
Right. He's moved on.
Yeah. 3 weeks later, he's not still raising his hand saying, hey, coach, just so you know, I made it again today.
You don't get a check for that.
I know you did. Yeah, you don't get a check every Tuesday. But now other people are doing it because he did it, and all of a sudden he's a leader and teaching people. And it's not about attaboys, and that's what we do now. Way to go. You did great. Attaboy. No, you didn't. You did something that you need to learn from. So it's not always about praise and recognition. It's about teaching and learning and growing and earning. And
rewarding the right things.
Don't reward bad behavior, but reward good behavior. That's a pretty simple Dr. Phil concept.
I know. I like it.
Big Dr. Phil guy. Not afraid.
I love Dr. Phil. I like the how's that working for you. That's a really great.
I used that day, I think.
Yes, you did. Now that you say that. It's a great question.
He says it all the time.
I know.
Somebody will talk about a behavior they're doing and they're defending it. And he always says, well, how's it working out for you? Well, not too great.
Not so good.
Well, then you better change. If it's not working out.
That's the definition of insanity.
Here we are later on in the LEADER acronym that we're going to get to. But
all right, A, I will shut up. This is your show, not mine. A.
A is your ability to anticipate what's getting ready to happen. If you could anticipate what's getting ready to happen, life becomes so much easier. Baseball and sports, obviously, if you're the shortstop, and you knew the guy was going to hit you the ball 10 seconds before he actually did, it'd be easy. So in life, how do you anticipate what's getting ready to happen? When you sit on a plane and the flight attendant's telling you where all the exits are, and are you really paying attention? Or if something happened and you just react to everything, then you panic and not know what to do. But if you go into a situation as a leader and you could anticipate what's getting ready to happen. I just did a leadership talk 2 days ago for a group of soldiers.
Ooh.
That's next level stuff there. For me, I'm a baseball coach talking to soldiers about discipline. I mean, come on, what are we talking about?
I know, but you're still I know it was good. I wasn't there, but I already know.
If I have a bad day, we lose a game.
Yeah, I know.
If they have a bad day, you know,
Different.
it's way different. So what super humbled to even be asked to do that and super honored to do that. And as a leader, I was teaching them about leadership, and I used another baseball example because that's what I do.
Right.
I was dressed in my uniform.
I know. Well, did you notice that?
You got your name on your back?
Because I thought you might show up in your uniform. So I thought, well, I don't want to look like a schmuck. So what's the equivalent for me of a baseball uniform?
There's no number on the back there. That's the difference.
That's true. It would say 7 because that's my number.
Actually, when we scheduled this, I didn't know it was video. I thought it was just audio. So I didn't even brush my hair this morning.
Then maybe we can have you come back.
Yeah.
And
there we go.
I'll have a number the next time.
So anyhow, my example to these soldiers was I put 2 baseballs on the floor. And I asked one guy, I said, in your best leadership voice, make me get that baseball. And he said, sir, would you please pick that baseball up for me and bring it to me? I said, sir, yes, sir. And I went and got it and gave it to him. And I asked the next guy, I said, same thing. In your best leadership voice, with energy and enthusiasm, make me get that baseball. Would you please go get that baseball for me? And I said, I don't feel like it. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? I don't want to get that ball.
Yeah.
So
Not feeling it.
If you're leading a group of people, they're not all just going to do what you want them to do all the time.
Right.
So
just because your name's in a box on an org chart or you're the boss, you're the head coach.
I said, I'm not going to get that baseball unless you convince me there's a good reason to get that baseball. So I said, come here. And me and him walked in the corner of the room, turned our backs to everybody else, and I whispered to him, I said, how are you going to convince me to get that ball? And he said, Coach, I'm a huge fan of the program. He said, I've got a couple kids that would love to have this baseball. I not only want it, would you sign it for me? Yes. And he went back and sat down. I went and grabbed the baseball and gave it to him.
Very cool.
He convinced me to get the ball.
Yeah.
And leadership isn't always about screaming at people and grabbing them by the shirt and jacking them up against the back of the dugout. Sometimes you have to put your arm around a guy.
Yeah.
Because you have to learn how they learn.
Yes.
And to me, the guy I was role-playing that day, he needed to convince me because I was maybe having a terrible day.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So leadership comes in a ton of different forms.
Absolutely.
But if you can anticipate as a leader that if you're trying to lead 50 people, 40 of them may do this, 5 of them may react this way, 5 of them may do this. If you know that ahead of time and know what you're going to do, if a guy doesn't want to get the baseball and you're prepared for that,
absolutely,
it's a lot easier. Because he was a little bit rattled when I first said, I don't want to get that ball.
I bet.
He didn't know how to react to that.
Because he wasn't anticipating that was going to be your response, right? Especially because you just picked it up for the other guy.
Yeah. So
like, if
you know every different reaction of the people you're trying to lead, you can think about it ahead of time. And I tell our players all the time, I can predict the future with 100% certainty that at some point this season, an umpire is going to make a bad call on you. I can see into the future. That is going to happen. They're human beings. That's going to happen.
Yes.
So decide right now. Don't decide then how you're going to react. Decide right now how you're going to react when that situation arises.
Yeah. And
it becomes so much easier if you just have the ability to anticipate all the possible outcomes of what you're trying to achieve. So that's the A.
I love that. Okay. Very good.
So I apologize to the people who actually did pull over.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, they're still sitting there.
Hey, listen, it's is good stuff. So hopefully they're still writing notes.
Call in sick. Tell the boss you're going to be late because we're only halfway through this word.
Yes.
So the D, and we've already talked about, is discipline. I've always convinced people that there's 2 different ways you can either motivate somebody or be a self-motivator.
Yeah.
So much more power in being a self-motivator instead of making other people do it for you. So discipline, I've always convinced guys to do 2 things every day that you don't want to do.
Oh.
If you can teach yourself to do 2 things every
Yeah.
day, one in the morning, one in
Does it have to be
afternoon.
different things every day, or can it be the
No,
same thing every day?
The 2 things I start with are making your bed.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is 30 years old, and wearing your seatbelt.
That's good.
Wearing your
like
seatbelt
that.
takes, what?
And that's a habit.
5 seconds
That's
or less.
definitely something that becomes a habit. Yeah.
It's good for you.
Yeah.
Nobody will argue that. It's easy to do and doesn't take long. So the only reason you don't do it is because you don't want to. And I can't accept that answer.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
So, and you'd be surprised over the past 30 years how many people have come to me and said, Coach, you saved my life.
Yeah.
I was in an accident and had my seatbelt on and never used to wear them, but now I did.
Oh my gosh.
So once I get those guys, then I go to the people in the back seat, because I ask the crowd, how many people wear your seatbelt all the time? And most of the people raise their hand. I say, okay, keep your hand up if you wear it all the time in the back seat. And about half the hands go down. And I'm like, all right, why don't you wear it?
Yeah.
And nobody has an answer other than I don't want to. And I can't accept that one.
Yeah.
Although I was speaking to a bunch of police chiefs a couple months ago.
Yeah. Really
and I said-
emphasize that point, didn't you?
Yeah. And I said, why don't you wear it in the back seat? Because the law doesn't require it. I'm like, that's not my point.
Yeah, but I mean, so can I just share a real life example on this
sure.
one? So I was in the backseat of a cab, and the cab driver passed out while he was driving, and got in an accident naturally, because that's typically doesn't bode well when someone's driving and they go unconscious. But who wears a seatbelt in the backseat of a cab? Most people don't, right?
Most
I
people
didn't.
don't.
I mean, I wear one.
Were you not
normally.
that day?
No, I was in a cab and we weren't going far, and I just got in, and yeah. So just to prove the point of why that matters.
And why do you think you didn't wear it in the back seat?
I don't even know. Just didn't
want to.
Yeah, didn't want to.
That's the only
yeah,
answer.
that's the only answer.
That's
Because
the only answer.
we only do things that our brain gets rewarded for. So yeah, just didn't want to. Didn't see the need. Didn't think anything bad was going to happen. Didn't anticipate.
That's right.
That anything
That's right.
bad was going to happen. Like, well, we're not going that far. And
You know what would be really cool in this podcast? We got old Justin over here listening to us. What do you think you think he's going to do anything differently tomorrow
Let's ask him.
than he did today?
Justin, are you going to do anything differently?
Probably gonna make my bed.
He's going to make his bed.
Are you just saying that, or are you serious?
I'm serious.
Yeah.
So my dad told me too. I
You
just
kn-
never started.
How come?
Didn't want to.
Didn't
That's
want
it.
to.
He's
I know.
listening.
Why bother,
The guy's
right?
got the headphones on. I thought he was listening to Drake or somebody over there. He's actually listening to us.
Actually, I'm glad, because I didn't know. I don't know if those are, no soundproof. That would be really unfortunate if he was like,
Yeah. But yeah, if we have convinced one person
Yeah.
on this podcast, then
yeah.
that's leadership qualities.
That is leadership. And
Yeah.
that is actually the goal of this entire podcast. I mean, I enjoy doing this and I enjoy having conversations, but there's a lot of other things I could do during this time too in my day, right? The hope is that when people listen, they hear something or think about something a little bit different, like, I never thought about trying that. I never thought about talking to my team about the things that matter to them and are important to them. And I never really saw the value in that, or never thought about wearing my seatbelt or anticipating. I mean, any of the things that you've talked about, just as one example, I hope people will listen and say, maybe I should try that, or that's kind of a different way of thinking about things.
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't like just talking and
Yeah.
having people listen. I
Yeah.
like having people do something.
Do something. Yeah. I'm the same way. So, and that's interesting too, because I feel like you give a lot of keynotes. I don't give keynotes because, number one, I don't have anything that important to talk about or motivational. But number two, I don't like a keynote format because most of the time it is just you talking at people. So it sounds like yours are a lot more. I mean, I got to sit through the one, but it sounds like you make them interactive.
They do. And I like to give my email address to the people in the crowd, and
That's
you'd
cool.
be surprised the next day, Coach, really appreciate everything you said. I made my bed this morning.
Aww.
And that's just,
That's got to make you feel good too, because you're making a difference.
it beats the heck out of teaching a kid how to steal second base. Anybody can do that.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that. we think we're pretty good at doing that.
Well, yeah, that does matter too. But
that matters too. But
yeah,
but you're making a difference in people's lives, and
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard the guy who wrote the Make Your Bed book.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard his keynote speech?
Is he
the admiral?
Yes, McCraven. Is that who it is? Yeah.
And he said something that hit home to me as well in that speech. What a great speaker! What a dynamic speaker! Guy who stole my idea, but what a great speaker!
But I mean, you can't not like him.
I know, right? So he said,
"That's why you're not suing him."
In your lifetime, you will meet. Every person meets about 10,000 people on average. If you do the math, if you would just commit yourself to changing the lives of 10 people,
yeah,
and those 10 people change the lives of 10 people,
yes,
and so on, and so on.
Yeah.
In 5 generations, the math says you will have changed the world.
Yeah.
And who wouldn't agree that the world needs a changing currently?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Just go change the life of someone.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. Because
Doesn't
as you know, like starting with making your bed, the ripple effect that comes from that of building other habits on top of it, it's not just about making your bed. It's what it teaches you.
And 30 years ago, a kid that started learning how to wear his seatbelt probably told that to someone else, and to someone else, and to someone else. So we may have saved somebody's life in Sacramento, California that we've never met just because of spreading the message.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. And that's the interesting thing too, is a lot of times you won't ever hear those stories.
Correct.
But it's still worth doing anyway.
Yeah. So that's why I'm happy that the Admiral stole my idea, because that just means it's more far-reaching that we're spreading the right message.
Was that the same speech where he tells the story of them singing in the water?
Don't be a sugar cookie, and it's the Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
Where they're sitting in the water, locking arms.
Locking arms.
Yeah.
I like that part too, because there's a really powerful message in that as well.
There is, and he's such a great speaker.
I know.
I only wish to be as dynamic as he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you didn't pull over and write things down, remember the Admiral from the University of Texas. His commencement speech is worth watching.
Yeah, it is. Well, and this is worth watching too, I think, but because it's where it started.
Yeah. So here
started
we are
with Coach Mazey.
Here we are on the second E.
Yes. Yeah.
The second E in leader is good leaders have the ability to evaluate themselves. Good leaders should know that they're not good at everything.
Yes.
Nobody's good at everything.
No.
Everybody thinks they're good at everything, but nobody's good at everything.
No.
A real leader surrounds themselves with people who are good at the things that they're not good at.
Yes.
And to have the ability to recognize that I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
I hate technology. I'm not good at technology. There's so many terms in baseball now that I don't even know what they mean. You would think I do, but I have no idea what some of the terms mean. But the people around me do.
Yeah.
So
you can leverage their knowledge.
Yeah, I can leverage their knowledge. And if there's something I'm not good at, I'm going to find somebody that's good at it and get them on my team.
Yeah.
And that's pretty powerful too, because
absolutely
some leaders don't like to give the reins, so to speak, to other people in the organization because they feel like it threatens their leadership. They're going to
outshine them.
I think it helps it. Believe it or not, I'm not near as good of a communicator with the players as some of my assistant coaches. So my assistant coaches...
How do you know that? Can I ask? Like, how did you come to that?
They tell me.
Okay.
I didn't seek that knowledge out. But
okay.
We had a kid who had a bad game, and I don't call him after every bad outing and, hey, how you doing? Just wanted to make sure you're okay. You need any chicken noodle soup? I'm not that guy.
Right.
And some kids need that.
Yes.
But my coach will come to the office the next morning and say, hey, so-and-so, he's fine. I talked to him last night. You did?
About what?
Yeah. How'd that go?
Yeah.
You know? But kids love that, and they love my coaches for doing that.
That's awesome.
But if I'm not good at it, and they are, and the kids are getting better, I don't have an ego.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be me.
One less thing you have to do anyway.
I'm just trying to make the kids better. If I can do it through other people, that's fine with me. It's all about my dog in the fight is making the kids better.
Exactly.
So if they can help me do that, then more power to them.
Yeah.
So you have to evaluate and go Dr. Phil on yourself and say, how's that working out for me?
Yeah.
If you're the guy, the militaristic leader that screams at everybody all the time, it's okay if that's your style, but you got to check in and see how it's working.
Yeah.
If it's not working
for you,
you got to evaluate it and say, well, maybe it's not working. Like the kid with the learning disability that I was mad at him. I was hard on him. That was my style.
Right.
But when I got the diagnosis that he had a learning disability, I had to evaluate that.
Yeah.
I needed to change.
Yeah, I can't continue on. Well, first of all, you're just going to keep being frustrated.
Yeah.
And he's not going to get the message anyway. I mean, it's a lose-lose.
Yeah, so you have to evaluate yourself as a leader if you're going to be a good one, because you have to change.
Yeah.
Because change is progress.
Absolutely.
You can't have progress without some sort of change.
No.
So good leaders have the ability to change.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, can I ask, though, because I think about people in power, leaders in a position of power, right? You're certainly in a position of power and authority over other people, right? And I think sometimes leaders are not open to feedback from other people, evaluating themselves. They surround themselves with people who just tell them they're great, right? In our family, we talk about like the Elvis Presley syndrome. Like at some point, maybe someone should have gone to Elvis Presley and been like, you might want to slow your roll.
Yeah.
Right.
Seriously.
But he may or may not, I don't know. We didn't know each other personally, but
he's still in the building.
May have surrounded.
Not too late. Elvis is in the building.
Yeah, he may have surrounded himself with only people that said, this is great. We'll help you get whatever it is that you want and need. And so I'm just curious, because you are in a position where you could be that kind of a person, how do you go about, or how would you recommend other people go about maybe soliciting that feedback about how others see them, or just evaluating themselves in an effective way?
I'm not a formal process type guy, but that would help.
Yeah.
That would help to get feedback from the people under you about your leadership style.
Yeah.
It's frustrating as heck to read a questionnaire from a kid that doesn't like you and says, I don't appreciate the way you talk to me. But ultimately, if that's how they feel, that's important for you to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And leaders need to check their ego at the door and not worry about that part of it. And, in my position, though, a lot of people that aren't in the starting lineup say that just because they're mad at you. So you got to kind of look into the weeds a little bit.
Yeah.
So I know I'm not good at everything. So tell me what I'm not good at. That's good for me to know. So, but if you have an ego about it, it doesn't help.
Yeah, and you're probably not open to change.
You're not open to change. And one of my best friends is a leader of a company, and he and I are always talking about leadership type stuff and empowering the people on your team to do things and give them opportunities. And we were talking about, as we talked about, my wife and I are thinking about starting a podcast.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that to him, and he said, it's funny you say that, because he has about 300 employees in his company, and he always asks them for new ideas. And he wants to empower them that he's going to listen to their ideas.
That's great.
And one of his employees came and said, I think we should do a podcast just within our company.
Cool.
And he was like, I didn't really think it was going to work. I didn't want to do it. But it was more important for him to know that I had his back if he had a good idea that he was passionate about. So I did it. He said, I went into it with terrible attitude, not going to work. He said, but you know what?
Don't want to do this.
It was unbelievable.
Wow.
Everybody in the company listened to it. I had a lot of fun with it. And had I not given that guy the opportunity to bring an idea to the forefront, and had he not felt that if he would have come to me and asked that, and I would have said, no, that'll never work. The damage you do to that guy's psyche, that, okay, what's the sense? Why would I ever bring another idea to my boss?
Right.
So the fact that I just let him do what he thought was a great idea was super empowering to him.
Absolutely.
So when we meet as a staff every morning, go over the practice schedule. What are we going to do today? I let everybody on the staff come up with an idea. And
cool.
I mean, you practice what you practice. It's not rocket science.
Right.
Sometimes you practice offense, defense.
Right.
It's more important that they feel like they have a voice.
Absolutely.
In practice.
Because they're paying attention. I mean, that's their job, right?
That's their job.
So, hey, what are you noticing? What are you seeing that we need to focus on?
Yeah, and if one of them one day says, I think we need to do this drill today, and I say, well, that's some of the dumbest stuff I've ever heard. He's never coming to me with another idea ever.
And also, what are you paying him for?
I know, right? Well, some of them are volunteers, so that argument doesn't work.
True.
But you know, I like to empower them because
Yeah.
they're going to be leaders one day too.
Exactly.
And they're going to have to learn how to listen to their people.
Yeah.
So it's just so far reaching. Just simple things that are so far reaching is really important. So
Absolutely.
we're up to R.
I don't have a drum, so that was my drum roll.
To me, the R in leader is if you're going to be a leader, you have to repeat it every day. If you're a leader, you don't get days off.
Yeah.
You can't
like
say, I'm going to be
parenting.
a leader on the weekdays, but take the weekends off.
No days off.
The ultimate form of leadership is parenting.
Right? I mean, because those kids don't care if you're sick. You got to show up anyway.
You got to show up anyway. And if you really want to be a leader, you're a leader in some capacity, no matter where you are or who you're with.
Exactly.
In a good way.
Yeah.
And talk about parenting and kids. I've always, when my wife and I first had kids, you hardly ever get to go out and have fun, right?
Right.
So when you finally convince each other that, hey, we still love each other.
Right.
You remember all that
we should
stuff?
probably hang out sometime.
Yeah. So you get a babysitter for the first time, and you go out and you stay out till 1 or 2 in the morning, and you come home, and the kids are up at 5:30.
Right.
And I'm like,
And you want to
this
die.
is when you need the babysitter.
Exactly.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So as a parent, you don't get the luxury of sleeping in when your little baby gets up and one's fed, you know?
Exactly.
So leaders have to repeat leadership over and over. And you can take time off from some parts of it.
Sure.
We don't have to practice baseball every day.
Yeah.
But we can work on our good habits every day.
Yeah.
And making your bed and eating the right stuff and getting the right amount of sleep. That's daily type stuff.
Yeah.
So the ability to repeat it over and over again makes you a good leader.
Yeah. Got to get the reps in.
Let me check the time. 57 minutes to spell leader.
I know. Does it always take that long, or?
It depends. This is cool.
So just because I interrupted you 600 times.
No, that's cool. It's all relevant, right?
Yeah.
It's all relevant.
I think it's great though, especially because I kind of in my mind had some things I wanted to ask you about, and it just naturally came in through the conversation. So
yeah, that's kind of it's kind of a shame that I'm in an industry. Everybody from the outside thinks I'm in the entertainment industry. They think I put a baseball team on a field to win games and win championships and trophies. So I don't see myself as that. I see myself in the teaching industry.
yeah.
Other people see me in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
The tough part of it is that we get judged
Oh yeah. Wins
on
and
the
losses.
entertainment portion of it.
Yeah.
This all sounds great, but if our record was 10-50, this means nothing to anyone.
Exactly.
The fact that a lot of people see what I do and we have success doing it really helps give me that platform and that forum
Yeah.
to teach people that this is important stuff and this actually works.
Yeah.
So if you have a business out there that may be struggling and morale is low, the fact that I am a teacher and I have these principles and philosophies that have worked could help a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
Just because
Absolutely.
of the entertainment
And you
portion
also
of it.
happen to be, a very winning baseball coach. But
Well, it's not me, it's my team of people that have helped me. And like I said, I think we've won so many games because winning the games hasn't been the most important part of it.
yeah.
The most important part of it is the kids loving each other and the leadership.
You're focusing on the right thing.
Winning the games is a byproduct of all the stuff we've talked about today. So it's kind of counterintuitive to think you win more when it's not the most important part of it.
Right.
And I tried to convince, when I came to Morgantown 12 years ago, I tried to convince people, and I tried to revamp our youth baseball system in town.
Oh.
Yeah. Talk
I wanna
about
hear about
people
this.
talk about people that to this day hate me for it.
Wow. Will you talk about it for a minute?
Sure.
A few minutes? But like what I'm just so curious, like what you saw, like what you were envisioning as needed revamping.
When I came here and figured out what the whole landscape of youth baseball was, my kids were small, so they were getting ready to start.
Right.
We had Morgantown had youth baseball, Westover had youth baseball, Cheat Lake had youth baseball. They were all competing against each other, competing for kids against each other. Hey, come play for me, come play for me. And it was all about taking one of those teams to a travel tournament somewhere and going 6-0 and beating the brains out of somebody by 15 runs and going to work the next day and thinking you did something great.
Right.
You didn't.
Right.
You didn't.
Right.
I tried to revamp it so, hey, this community is a great community. Let's all get together.
Yeah.
Let's all get together so when Morgantown goes somewhere to represent Morgantown, we're putting the best kids to represent Morgantown.
Across Morgantown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I tried to combine all three leagues and convince people. I had parent seminars teaching parents how to be parents.
How to be parents. Yeah.
Proper parents.
Yeah.
Because I don't get mad when I go to baseball games at the kids.
Yeah.
But I get furious at
Oh
the
my
parents.
gosh. I know, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. So I did parent seminars.
I would come and teach about how to sit in the outfield, outside of the park. That's
Yeah.
the best spot
That is.
as a parent.
And I tried to, I actually wrote an exam for the coaches
Wow.
because it was like a 5-pager, but it was basic baseball fundamentals, how to teach kids, how to be a leader. That was the exam.
That's amazing.
And because I wanted a kid, if he was 6 years old and was coached by Jim Smith as a 6-year-old, he got coached by Jim Smith. But next year, if he was coached by Tom Thumb,
Yes.
he was getting the same message.
Yes.
It was the same fundamentals. It was the same leadership.
Yes. Here's how
the
we
same
do things
everything.
here.
It was consistency in our community.
Which is huge. Yeah.
The main principle that I came up against was, been coaching for 20 years. I'm not taking no stupid exam. Are you kidding me? I don't have to. This is dumb. I'm not doing this.
Right. This is a volunteer job anyway.
So it failed miserably.
Wow.
Because of egos and because of winning being the most important thing. When winning's not the most, it's really important. You want to teach people how to win.
Yeah.
But if you don't teach them how to lose and how to fail in our sport,
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a game of failure.
yeah, the best performers in the world fail 70% of the time.
Absolutely.
So nobody's ever been perfect at baseball. Kids are going to fail.
Absolutely.
Let's, as a community, all get together as coaches and teach kids that failure is not only necessary, it's important, it's going to happen. Let's teach them how to overcome it.
Yeah.
And people don't want to fail. People don't want to lose. They don't want to go to work and say, yeah, we won 3 and lost 3 and finished in 4th place. Who wants to say that to their coworkers? That's what I ran into. So I did it with good intentions, and the people who are mad at me today because of that, and some of them are probably listening, I don't care. I had the right
Stand by that decision.
Yeah.
Yes.
I did it for the children of Morgantown.
Because what are we teaching
Those
them?
were my intentions. So if you don't like that, that's on you. That's not on me. So, but yeah, it failed miserably because I felt like I was climbing Mount Everest in my bare feet,
Yeah.
trying to overcome the winning first mentality.
It is hard, though, because I think a lot, the way I think about leadership, and I actually compare leadership to parenting a lot, because think about it, pre-kids, right? You can just do whatever you want, basically. But then once the kids come along, it's not about you anymore, right? It's not about how you're feeling. It's not about what kind of day. It's not about whether you want to be a parent that day or not. It's all about them. And how do I create the best life for them and, make them successful adults someday? And to me, leadership is the same way. Anyone that you're leading on your team, it's not about you and all the accolades you get as you're such a great leader, but it's how can I make them successful? And the more successful you make them, that to me is an indication of your success as a leader.
Yeah, in the last year, I went to 3 weddings of kids that I coached here.
Oh, cool.
And to watch them become a husband right in front of your eyes, after telling them the importance of it, is way more satisfying than watching them hit a home run.
Yeah.
Those skills, the baseball skills, they're going to use for the next 2 or 3 years if they're lucky.
Yeah.
Learning how to be a husband and a father, that's a life sticker.
That's a lifetime. And then that gets passed on. To your point earlier about the generations, right? They're
Gets passed
watching
on.
that behavior.
Yeah, no doubt. And some of the things you can do to discipline yourself to be a good leader are so simple. I mean, we're talking about making your bed.
Yeah.
We're talking about wearing a seatbelt. We're talking about when you get to a hotel room, unpack and hang your shirts up. Put your shoes organized on the bottom of it. Those are simple things that you can pass on to your children.
Absolutely.
When I first heard the coach tell me that he takes his shoes out of his suitcase when he gets to a hotel room and lines them up on the bottom of the closet, I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world. But good luck me not doing that now. I do it every time.
Yeah.
I do it every time.
Yeah.
And it's so cool when you walk in and out of the hotel room.
It's right there.
It's right
You're
there.
making it easy for yourself.
Instead
Yeah.
of just piling everything in the corner and the maids come in there and say, who are the 2 disgusting guys
Slobs that live here.
that live here?
Exactly.
I think half the reason, though, our guys like staying in hotels, and half the reason I make them hang their clothes up because they don't get to make their bed.
Right.
So I got
But
to
maybe,
substitute.
do we know that? What if some of them do make their bed in the hotel room? Because
I give them a free pass.
Okay, because that would be really impressive
That
if
would
they
be.
Continued with the practice.
But they get the free pass for the making their bed. So I think that's why they like traveling.
I love it. Oh my gosh. This is okay. First of all, can I have you back? Because I still have like hours worth of things I want to ask you about, but we don't have hours to talk today. But would you come back? Because you're
Obviously.
amazing.
I think I told you before we started, it's kind of weird how my passion as I've gotten older has gravitated toward this.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a young coach, you're trying to win games.
Well, yeah. I mean, it is a job.
It
And
is.
you are measured on your results, right?
Measured on results, but once you get the results and you feel like they're sustainable, now my passion is teaching kids, and not just kids, but teaching anybody how to leadership skills and teamwork. And like I said, I would like to, in my retirement years, which are right around the corner.
Yeah.
And I think there's a great message in there that people need to hear.
Absolutely.
Of all ages, of all levels. So my passion now lies in this.
That's
and
so cool.
And it's rewarding to see kids get married and see kids make their bed and see kids wear their seatbelts. When it's become rewarding to me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, I'd love to come back anytime you want.
Awesome. Wow. And I know for a fact there's going to be a lot of people listening to this that are going to want you to come into their company and do some.
You really think so?
Yeah.
No, you're just.
No, I'm going to refer you, which I mean, that's the work I do too, but I'd rather a lot of these people hear from you than me. So.
I love the people that go into those restaurants on TV and take a restaurant what's the name of those shows where they do all that. I think
and they turn it around.
A lot of that's made for TV type stuff.
Yeah, but
there's stuff in there.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It matters. And I mean, that is how you win. It is not about how do we figure out how to squeeze a little bit more out of our people so that we can hit this sales target this quarter. I mean, it's just often the approach is solely focused on technical capabilities. What do we need to change to get this person to get the job done? Let's change our strategy and let's focus on execution. But it's to me, the how piece of that is so important.
No doubt.
And if people aren't bought in, good luck.
One of the things I think's made a huge difference in our program, we do a team retreat every fall.
Oh, that's cool.
And we pitch tents and they camp out.
Very cool.
The day before we go, we put all of the duties at the campsite in a hat and they pick their duty out. You could be cooking eggs, you could be cooking hamburgers, you could be setting the table, could be pitching tents, whatever.
Yeah.
So everybody has a duty.
They have a job, yeah.
And most of them have never done it before.
Right.
I mean, you'd be surprised how many kids have never camped, believe it or not. So
yeah,
they all have a duty they have to take pride in because you're feeding the team. If you're cooking the eggs, you're feeding your brothers. If you don't take pride in it and don't do a good job, it affects a lot of people.
For sure.
So first
and the cleanup matters too.
The cleanup matters too. And the first thing you do is take pride in your duty. Be as good at that duty as you can. And the second thing we do after it's all said and done, we build a bonfire at the end of the night. And everybody on the team grabs a stick and they stand in front of their teammates and they say, this is what I'm going to add to this team this year.
Ooh.
And after they say what they're going to add to the team, they throw their stick in the fire.
Cool.
And make the fire bigger.
I just got chills. That's awesome.
So
I love that.
What organization couldn't benefit from that? Does your accountant know anything about your CEO and vice versa? Or does the guy who's sweeping the floors and cleaning the bathrooms know anything about the people that are coming in and using it?
Yep. So
it's
true.
important to me that everybody on my team, the first thing we do when we take a road trip is put the bus driver's name on our group me so they know the bus driver because everybody has a story.
Yeah.
Get to know the guy.
Yeah.
Get to know the guy.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many interesting people we've had that just drive our bus. You know, so there's a ton of lessons to be learned. Wow. So here I am, an old dog learning new tricks.
I love it, though. I love it. And I think it's a good example because I think about that. I heard you talking on an interview with your wife. And at one point, you were talking about transfer portal and NILs. And what I thought was really cool was that, you know, you've had a long career, you've had a successful career. You could totally be the kind of guy that's like, you know, this new agey stuff is terrible. I know what works. I've seen what works and I'm going to do what works. But you actually were talking about merits of some of this. And hey, here's like the cool things that can come out. We get player retention and I just thought that was really cool that you had such an open mindset. It wasn't just like, this is, you know, new stuff that's not going to work.
You know, when most people hear that, when you mention transfer portal and NIL to 95% of the people, their first reaction is negative.
Yeah.
Mine was.
Yeah.
When it first started, I'm like, you're kidding me. Everybody says this will ruin college athletics. You can think like that, but how's that working out for you? You know? Our community got together last year and embraced NIL and embraced transfer portal. And we have a Big 12 championship trophy in our clubhouse because people embraced it.
Yeah.
Not because we had better hitters than everybody else. It's because the community got behind the team and bought into what we were saying. And now I've always tried to match this community, which I love. My wife and I love it here. And this team, which I love, and I wanted to bring those two entities together.
Yeah.
Teach the community why I love the team, and teach the team why I love the community.
Yeah.
And there's strength in numbers.
Yeah.
So at our banquet in front of 800 people, I thought it was important for them to know that the freshman from Pittsburgh, his ideal place he'd like to live is in Iceland. Now, when you go watch a game, now you know the kid a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a personal connection to them.
Who doesn't like watching a game more when you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, and especially if they have maybe you want to live in Iceland too, so you're like, that's suddenly it's like, this is my favorite player,
No
you
doubt.
know?
And we place a player at every table.
Cool.
So the community gets to know these kids. There's something I did this past weekend that I've always always wanted to do in my career and have never done it. And I thought, this is my last dang year. I'm going to do it this year.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody thinks. So on their questionnaire, one of the questions is, what was your favorite home-cooked meal as a child? And they write it down. And at our banquet the other night, I asked for volunteers in the crowd, in the community, to cook the favorite home-cooked meal of each player.
Aww.
And we're having a team party on March the 10th. And we have 40 volunteers.
Oh my gosh.
That are going to make the chicken and the
That's so
waffles
cool.
and the chicken noodle soup and the meatloaf wrapped in bacon.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
And for these kids that come from a distance to come
Yeah,
here.
because they're not, I mean, these are not all local kids.
No,
They're coming from all over the place.
We only have one Morgantown.
I figured,
we only
yeah.
have 3 or 4 from the state. But for them to get Mama's fried chicken that she made when I was a kid, how cool is that for them?
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And as the person, like, I would love to do something like that. I would feel so honored to, I can imagine the people that are cooking the meals put a lot of love into it too.
I know, right? That's the whole point, is for the community to engage with the team and get to know the kids. And now you watch a kid out there pitching and you're like, I'm the one that made the chicken parm that he likes so much. You know?
Awesome.
So, yeah,
I
it's
love
just,
this.
I'm committed, even in retirement. Everybody asks me, what are you going to do when you retire? What are you going to do when you retire? I'm very passionate about the community loving this baseball program and this baseball program loving the community.
That's so cool.
Other than that, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do.
Well, I have ideas that could keep you really busy doing leadership training and team building, but
Awesome. Let's do it.
okay, I love it. Okay, lightning round. You good for
Absolutely.
60-second lightning round? This is answer.
We've been at it for 1 minute and 15. You're going to challenge me 60 more seconds?
I don't know. I mean, you could have said no, but then I'd say, like, I'd have to convince you. Right?
Be careful what you ask for, because off the top of my head,
This is going to be good.
I haven't anticipated this.
I know.
Just so you know.
I know, but that's the fun part of this game. Okay, but these are questions about you, so hopefully it's not too
How many
hard.
we got, just so I know?
20.
20 questions?
Yeah, most people don't even get their half, so.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I'm getting through 20.
Are you right? Oh, gosh. Okay. On your mark, get set, go. Favorite home-cooked meal as a child?
Chicken pot pie.
What season best fits your personality?
All 4 of them.
Oh. What's your most used emoji in text?
Don't use them.
What book, song, movie, or podcast has had the greatest impact on your life?
My cousin Vinny.
What's something about you that surprises people when they first hear it?
You'd have to ask them.
Fill in the blank. I spent too much money on.
Myself.
What celebrity would you want to play you in a movie?
Matt Damon.
Good choice. If you read a book, what would the title be?
How to build a sauna.
Let's talk about that. Favorite room in your house?
Basement.
Okay. If you catch me by the fridge at night, I'm probably snacking on what?
Do drinks count?
Yeah.
An old fashioned. That's where I keep my simple syrup.
That's smart. Wait, I'm going to
Is
turn
the
this off.
lightning round
Okay.
over?
Lightning round's over, but can I ask the last one? Best place you've ever traveled to? Because I
We
know
can go
you've
through all
traveled
20.
a lot.
We're
All
not-
right, let's do it.
What was that question?
Best place you've ever traveled to?
New Zealand.
Ooh, cool. First job.
Coach.
What was your most favorite subject in school?
Recess.
What's the best gift you ever received?
My children.
Let's go. What's your favorite quote or verse?
Dr. Phil, how's that working out for you?
What superhero do you most relate to? This is the benefit of video podcasts.
Justin, you have your finger on that button over there? I loved, as a child, the Wonder Twins. You remember the Wonder Twins?
I do remember the Wonder Twins. Yeah.
They would touch Knuckles and say, Wonder Twin powers, activate. And they would
Activate.
change themselves into anything they wanted to.
It's a good one. Well, this might be the next question, too. If you could have any fictional character as your friend, who would you choose?
A fictional character as my friend.
That could even be like in a book or...
John Rambo.
Yeah. All right. Last two are easy. Beach or mountains?
For sure, mountains.
Cake or pie?
Pie.
Summer or winter?
fall.
All right. Thank you so much. This was awesome. And I got you to publicly commit coming back because I have way more questions.
I can't go back on that now. People are listening.
And you're starting a podcast. That's actually happening,
yeah,
right?
My wife and I talked about doing one together and just more like the lightning round, a lot more fun, get to know us as people and how we love this community and different things. We talk about anything literally under the sun.
That's awesome.
And we may even do it from a mountain or from a float tube in a lake out in Wyoming.
Cool. That would be so cool.
Yeah, it's just something I just enjoy getting to know people.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of this state and this community, and she is too, and we love it here and have made great friendships here. We just want to keep giving back to the community and
that's awesome.
And helping people and whatever we can do to make that happen, it'd be kind of cool.
That's very cool. Well, thank you for a lot of really good lessons today, honestly. And I'm excited for people to listen to this and get to know you from a different perspective than what they probably see you as publicly.
Yeah, if you get any feedback, if people email you, forward the positive ones to me.
Okay.
And the negative ones, you can hang on
I'll
to
just send to Justin.
I don't know. I guess if I really, truly evaluate myself, you should probably send the negative ones to me.
Exactly. We don't want an Elvis situation.
Exactly.
Right? Especially those old fashions.
Yeah. No, this was awesome. Thank you so much.
Appreciate.
And if anybody is listening, first show at Mondays is Wednesday the 7th.
This is very confusing. First show at Mondays is not on Monday. It's on Wednesday, February 7th.
The way the schedule fell, the first show is on a Wednesday.
Yes.
The second show is on a Tuesday.
Okay.
But the next 12 are consecutive Mondays.
Okay.
So it's a lot of fun, and it's not on the radio, so you can come and let loose.
I think that's awesome.
Meet a couple of the players. And
local listeners can come. That's right, because you have two players, you said. A couple players come.
Yeah, people ask them questions, and they ask me questions. And
Very cool.
It's turned into the show starts at 7. If you don't get there around 4:30 or 5, you don't get a seat kind of thing.
Amazing.
So it's so much fun. So
awesome.
Shout out to Mondays, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Check it out. Yeah, if you're not local, then come for a visit, and you'll get to talk about these or see these cool places we're talking about.
It's kind of funny. I know we're in overtime right now after the lightning
I like a good
round.
overtime.
But I was talking to the bartender at Mondays last summer when I was on the road. He said, "Coach, you're not going to believe this. I had a couple from New York that came through here. They were on their way home from Florida, and they were just sitting here eating and having a couple beers. And I said, 'What are y'all doing here?' They said, 'We heard about the Mondays at Mondays. We just came to see what all the fuss was about.'"
That's awesome.
So I'm like, heck yeah.
Yeah.
So people are talking.
I love it.
People know, spreading that word,
I
spreading
love
the cheer.
it.
So
well, now we're getting it out there again.
Getting it out there again. So Wednesday the 7th.
Wednesday, February 7th. Yeah, that might be when this episode airs.
And I don't know if people follow me on Twitter or whatever. They ask
Where
me,
can people follow you? Because you're not.
If
real big
that
on
question
social
was
media,
in the
right?
lightning round, I would have had to pass to the next question. I have no idea how to follow me, but
that just makes you even more, mysterious.
Yeah, you're gonna have to ask somebody else how to do that. But yeah, I put out the show and the two players that are coming with me every week. So
cool.
If you don't follow me on Twitter, ask somebody how to do it, I guess.
Figure it out, right?
Figure it out.
Awesome. Thank you again. This was awesome.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. All right. Until next time, everyone, shine bright.